Hi, so in this video I'm going to continue implementing the feature insertion subs that allows you to view search results from subtitle files in MPV player. So last time we implemented an external chapters file, and so here's what we have. Like if I play, like if I search for this word wiki and in this subtitle file and then pass the -p option to play.
Att man som historielärare måste vara duktig på, alltså om man ska kolla upp en historisk händelse så kollar ju alla Wikipedia.
So we can see that we have this EDL file playing and we have the chapters showing up correctly, as opposed to what we had before, like EDL's built-in chapters don't produce an entirely correct result. So that's what we did last time, so that's good. And so let's kind of continue of improving the script and adding new features. But before I kind of move on to adding something new, I just wanted to do this quick fix that I realized would be good to do. So it says get rid of generate chapter function and do printf without Lua. So what that, I just realized that like this function is not really necessary because this action is only performed let me see, like once over here, and I can just simply do like a printf here, and I don't need any Lua code either because this is just like a printf action. Like this string.format function in Lua does essentially the same thing as printf does, and I can just like copy this format string and paste it in here, and we have just a bit less code this way, and I can get rid of this. So let's test if it works.
Att man som historielärare måste vara duktig på.
Yeah, all the chapters are there, so everything's fine. So that's just like a little fix that I wanted to make. Okay, so basically we're done with the external chapters file, so I can delete that. That part is completed. So at this point, basically, this is a good time to start thinking about the saving functionality that I had have been planning to implement for a while now. But I think before we get to that, there's yet another thing that would be good to have in place, and that is this EDL structure option that I came up with. Essentially, what I want to do is I want to give the user a few possibilities as to how the EDL that is generated gonna look, because there's multiple files and you might not want to have like 4 files all in the same directory basically. And let me just generate our temporary files so that I have something to work with right now. So right now we have like 4 files. We have the main file, then the subtitles and the video tracks, and the chapters file. And so my thought was that like I'll call this structure flat because like everything is stored in the same folder. But then like I could also have a subfolder there that holds all of the files except for the main one. And so like that way it would be more neat basically. And another option is you could we could also have like a folder starting with a dot, which would make it hidden, which is also kind of something that you might want. You might not want to like look at all of these files because you don't really need that, and you might only want to have the main file in your kind of in the directory where you save your EDL. And then the other two possibilities are basically subdirectory, but except for the chapters file. So like keep the main file and the chapters file in the main directory, but put the rest of the stuff into the subdirectory. And then again, like the same, but with a hidden subdirectory. Hidden except chapters. So those are kind of the possibilities that I thought of, and I think that would be good to have implemented. So let me see. Yeah, like since this is primarily relevant for saving, like you might think, well, we don't need to do it for the cache, and kind of to an extent, yeah, we don't really need to. But on the other hand, there's this option that I just used to keep the cached files, and so like someone might run this, or like you might run this with this K option, with the afterthought that like maybe I'll save it, but you're not sure yet, so you don't want to bother with like coming up with a place to save the files, or like with the file name, with all of that stuff. So you just make a temporary run, and then you might realize that, well, I actually want to like keep it, and then like it would be nice so that you could set your preferred structure like in the config file or on the command line for that matter, like whatever you prefer, and then like in cache you would also have that structure, but like otherwise it would kind of get deleted just like everything else, and then we'll have the same system for the saving. But so that's why I want to kind of put off yet again implementing these options until like this thing is in place. And so yeah, let's get started on that. So as you can see, this short option that I decided to have here is -u, and the reason I chose -u is because I'm kind of running out of letters right at this point. We already have a lot of options, and the word structure has 2 U's. So that's like the rationale for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yes, so we'll create a variable here for this opt EDL structure equals, and by default we'll have this set to flat. I like quoting things that are strings basically. But in Bash they're not distinguished from like numbers or anything, but it just kind of helps to interpret the code when you look at it. I do it like in 95% of cases. Like in some cases I don't, like here I didn't, even though I might change it in the future, but that's just my preferred style of writing code in Bash. So let's see. So opt EDL structure flat. Now we need to add this thing here. So that's gonna be U. Oh man, I keep pressing the wrong thing. So U with a required argument, and play after EDL structure colon, so, and comma as well. So this way we have, or I mean, yeah, like this one is also with the required argument, obviously. Okay, good. So now I can just like copy one line in here and just edit it to say EDL structure, and put this here as well, and we are done with that. So now there's this option opt EDL structure that you can set to various values. Actually, we're not, I mean, we are done with this parsing part, but I'm going to add a check here to see if like, so that like we only we're restricted to only to these values that we decided are gonna be valid values for that option. So we'll say case, we'll use the case statement to check that, and yes, I see to close the case statement, and so like in case statements I don't quote this variable because it never requires quotes, and so yeah, that's how I write it. Like sometimes I do like redundant quoting, but like only in certain contexts, but not in this one. So okay, so we have multiple possibilities there. Let me just kind of copy those values from here so that I don't make any typos and save myself some time as well. I'll replace the vertical line with -r or \r as the way to enter a new line, and set replacement like substitute command that will break it up into multiple lines. Yeah, and I'll also add some stuff to the end of the line, specifically a space, then a closing parenthesis as per case statement's syntax, and then close that part of the case statement with the double semicolon, like that. So, or actually, am I gonna need all of this? Like, maybe I don't need all of this. Maybe I can just do substitute this with like the vertical line with just like to add some spaces there. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for now. Like, and then just add that closing parenthesis here and close this part of the case statement. And then we'll have another one here that will say star, which basically means everything else. Like if it didn't match this, then it'll go here, and this is where we're gonna have an error message. So yeah, I mean, I guess I could just do, in this case, like this thing, use an extended glob here, and say that like if it's none of those, maybe this will be enough. Print an error message. Let me see if I have any messages here that I can copy. I think there was one at the end somewhere. Yeah, this is perfect. Oh, wait a second. I almost messed something up there. Why? Okay, so printf. So this is going to be an error message, and let me look up. Let me close this and this too. What was it going to look up? Yes, ANSI escape sequences. So I like use this GitHub or like Git gist that someone put together for reference for all the escape sequences and like all the values that represent colors and like different styling of text and etc. There's also this very good answer on Stack Overflow that I'll link to in the description as well that just explains kind of similar stuff. And there's also this page that shows all the colors kind of more visually. So these are good things to know, to have for reference when you're working with ANSI escape sequences. So I'll link to all these things in the description. Now, what we need is the red color for error, so 31. Yeah, maybe I can just like take a moment to explain this. So this is kind of my standard way of dealing with these types of situations when I have like a color and no color options here, and then I have this opt color variable which is set to something if the color option is set, and if it's unset then the variable is set to nothing. And then I can use this let me see, like I always forget what these things are called. Parameter expansion, I think. Yes, parameter expansion. So what this does is it's a if parameter, so this part is null or unset, nothing is substituted. Otherwise, the expansion of word is substituted. So this is basically a very good shortcut for a conditional statement. So like basically, if opt color is set, then put this string there. So this will mean that this will get concatenated with this string, and the same situation is going to happen with this part of the string. But like if this variable is not set, as in like set to nothing, for example, then this part won't be added, and basically there won't be any color. So this is kind of very straightforward, and you don't need like I used to like think that like, well, I need to write some function to take care of this, but not really. I mean, this is kind of very straightforward, and like it's very readable too, so I just do this. So let's see, what's our error message gonna be? I'm gonna say invalid argument to, and I always use kind of markdown style backticks here to represent code, basically. Invalid argument to, and I also always like to write both the short and the long version of options, especially here to prevent confusion, because the user might use either one on the command line and it just looks clearer. So invalid argument to EDL structure, then I'll say colon and put that opt EDL structure there, so that you can easily see like what value was entered there. Valid argument to EDL structure. So with these things, I like to actually put these in single quotes, because this is like a value basically. It's like a string that you might want to copy from your output in the terminal and then paste it back in somewhere. So I like it to be correctly formatted as a bash, in a bash compatible way, basically quoted correctly. And to quote it correctly, you need to do a little trick that goes like this. And I'll explain this. This is a good thing to know. So basically, let me explain this. So in bash, if you have a string, basically, let's say we have a string like this. Basically, anything that is between the single quotes is going to be literally printed. Like none of the special characters, like if I can have this here, and this would normally be like special characters in bash, but this will be just a string with those literal characters. There's one exception, like one character does not fit into this pattern, and that is the single quote itself. You cannot do this, like you can't escape single quote, because that's not gonna work, as you can see. Like even the backslashes between the single quotes are interpreted literally, always. But that's also good, because now we have like a very consistent way of basically knowing that like there's no possibility that there is any special character that might get interpreted in a way that we didn't anticipate. So in order to have a single quote somewhere in there, you have to actually separate this into two separate strings, let's say, and insert a single quote between them and escape it with a backslash as a special character. But now that it's outside of the single quotes, it will get added literally. So we are concatenating, like let's get rid of those $ and parentheses. So we are concatenating TE, a single quote, and ST, and so we get this in the output. Let's see. So yeah, basically backslash single quote just gives the single quote, so that's why that works. And you concatenate strings in bash by just like putting them one after another. Now I'll allow myself to sort of like not really digress, but kind of spend a few minutes on this quoting thing. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so here in the bash manual we can see like this is the section about single quotes. I just explained this, but we can just read through it real quick. Enclosing characters in single quotes preserves the literal value of each character within the quotes. A single quote may not occur between single quotes, even when preceded with a backslash. So that's what I just explained. So this is the rule for bash. Now with double quotes, like I see people a lot of the time use double quotes in bash, and that doesn't really make a ton of sense, because there is single quotes specifically for quoting a string that doesn't contain any command substitutions, for example, any variables or anything, just a literal string. So like this is a very semantically clear way to show, just like encoded, like it's a single quoted string, it's a literal string, like there's no question about it. But like if you use double quotes for a string that doesn't contain any any variables or command substitutions, any code basically to run, then it's just like you're kind of wasting this possibility of making your code very, very clear. So that's for that reason I always use single quotes for strings that are literally strings. That kind of might explain certain things that you see in my code. So like over here, this is a literal string, but then I concatenate with a double quoted string because that's a variable. Like I could quote this entire thing in double quotes and avoid this concatenation, but then this backtick is a special character that will get interpreted in double quotes. So I will have to escape the backslash, or escape the backtick with the backslash in double quotes. Here's like basically so it says over here that enclosing characters in double quotes preserves the literal value of all characters within the quotes, with the exception of these three. So like basically these three are special characters: the $sign, the backtick, and the backslash, and also sometimes the exclamation mark. But there's like peculiarities about that. Yeah, when it comes to that. So we like if we use single quotes for strings that are meant to be just like literal strings, and there's no variables there, we don't have to worry about escaping any of this stuff or forgetting something, because like it can be even like potentially dangerous, because backticks, if you have two backticks and like let's say you have some string like this and then you have like two backticks here, and I'll put a command in there, that command will run, like because this is equivalent actually to this, and like it's just like there could be a problem because of that. But like if you use single quotes, there won't be any problem, because there's like whatever is in single quotes is always interpreted as literal characters. So I think this is a very important thing to know actually, because like following like quoting your strings according to the meaning of what is contained within the quotes makes the code much more clear and readable, and yeah, all of those things. So yeah, that's what I wanted to spend some time on here. But now that we know that, so this part should make a lot more sense. Basically, I'm concatenating this part with a literal single quote because I can't put it inside the single quotes. Then I have another double quoted string because there's a variable there, and then I'm also using this replacement. So in Bash you can replace characters like this. So I can replace a single quote, and this, like there's two backslashes here. Like when you put an additional, or not backslashes, but forward slashes rather. So if you put an additional forward slash here, that means replace all the single quotes that might occur in this variable. And like in this case, I don't know, like in this case I'm doing this for consistency simply, but like it's unlikely that someone would put something with a single quote as an argument to the EDL structure option. But the advantage of this is that like if they do, then what gets printed in the terminal will be correctly quoted. I'll show you in a second. Let me just finish explaining this. So like it's basically saying replace all single quotes with a single quote, then a backslash, then another single quote, and another single quote. So what we get is, if basically if there's this in there, this single quote gets replaced with this, and that results in a correctly quoted string because we also enclosed that in the single quotes. So that will always result in a correctly quoted string that can be like copied directly from the output, for example, and pasted somewhere else. And someone might say, well, this is hard to read. And in a sense it is. But you also get used to seeing this pattern all over and over again, and then you just know that this means like that there is a single quote there, because you know that this part belongs to this quote closes the preceding range, and this quote begins the following one, and this is just a single quote in between those. And so once you understand it, it's not that big of a deal that you have these single quotes sometimes. You have to do this, interruption of that quoted range and this escaping. It's not a huge deal that you have that. So I hope it makes sense. Like, since this substitution will replace all the single quotes in this variable if they occur there, this will always produce a correct result. So I can actually probably run this already. Yeah, okay, let me do that. Put a period there. So let's test what we have so far. So let's pass -u, and let's give it some nonsense argument, and I made some mistake somewhere. Okay, so that's because the extended globbing is not enabled yet in the script, so I'll have to do that. So okay, so now we have this output. So as you can see, this string is quoted, and I could copy it and like just do like, I don't know, whatever I want with it. But let's say if there was a quote there, it would get also quoted correctly, and now I could like copy this, and it would be correctly quoted string for shell, always, like no exceptions. So this is a very good way of doing it. I always do it this way. Maybe in this error message it's not that important, but if you actually have something more important and like in other kind of output, this is a lot of, it can be very, very helpful. So this is unambiguous, and it's a correctly quoted string. So okay, invalid argument to EDL structure, and I also would like to add that valid or not valid, I'll say allowed values are flat subdir. I'll just copy that so that I don't make any typos. Save some time. Let me again do some replacement. I'll replace that vertical line with a backtick, comma, space, backtick, and I'll just add some backticks here. So now we have a message that makes sense and gives a solution, potential solution to the problem. Okay, let's just test to make sure that, I mean, maybe this is kind of a redundant test, but let's do it anyway, just to see that we get the value. So if there's an invalid thing, we don't get anything. we get an error message, but if I pass a valid value, then we get it. So that works out. Okay, so now we're done implementing like the option itself. Now we have to actually figure out how to do this thing, and that's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, but it's fine. Okay, so like, well, where should we start? We have all these possibilities. So what's going on right now here when the files are getting saved? They're just being saved directly to the cache directory. Yeah, 4 files. So we need to figure out what are the variables in this whole thing. Subdirectory hidden, subdirectory except for chapters, and subdirectory hidden except chapters. So there will be a value for a subdirectory, and it might maybe either hidden or not hidden, but there will be some folder potentially where the stuff will be saved if the appropriate value is passed to the EDL EDL structure option. Then there's going to be a variable that represents that chapters go into the subdir or don't go into the subdir. So basically we can have a variable for the subdirectory, and if it's not set to anything, then the structure is flat, because the directory cannot be named with an empty string, so we have that value to represent an absence of subdirectory. And then we'll have another variable like for whether or not chapters should go into the subdirectory or not. So yeah, the subdirectory itself, okay, so how is that gonna be set? Let me see. Yeah, okay, so it can all be done, I think, in this case statement. So we are gonna actually have all of these possibilities as separate cases after all. So let me create that. I'll delete this, set it to the star so that it's the last resort, so like to go to throw an error. But if there's a valid value, we already had this substitution here that we did before. Replace it with a new line, and we'll do that, and we'll create those kind of correctly formatted parts of the case statement. Okay, so let me see. Let me first figure out what the variables are going to be called. So it's going to be like, I'm thinking EDL subdir, and EDL chapters in subdir. I don't know, like true or false. And so those are gonna be the variables. I mean, it's not like necessary to put them here, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep them there, but I might leave them. Sometimes it's helpful to just, for readability purposes, to know that, like, okay, we're working with two new variables here, and then there's this case statement that does something to those variables. So we might keep them here, they're outside as well. Because, like, for example, I did that here, for example, too, and like over here before the loop, so that yeah, at least some of those are just for readability purposes, to show the intention. Okay, so in the flat structure we don't even have to worry about this EDL chapters and subdir. Well, let me just keep it there for now, so that it's consistent, and then I'm gonna think about removing things. Now the directory's name, like when we are gonna be implementing this, the name will be changing. It's gonna be this path value. Right now it's basically, or no, it's not gonna be the path value, forget that. Like right now everything is saved to cache. It's kind of, it's later at some point there's gonna be a decision has to be made, like whether to save to cache or to the, or if one of these options is set, then save to path. So that's that. Subdir is separate from that. So what is subdirectory gonna be called then? Yeah, okay, I think it's gonna basically depend on the name of the file. The name of the main EDL file. And the name of the main EDL file will be again set with this EDL save files relative or absolute options. So that's what where the name will come from. Right now we have it just set to main for the cache, but yeah, so EDL subdir is gonna be called main.files. So we're gonna be basically using the, or let's say main.edl.files. So we'll just take the name of the EDL file in its entirety and make that the directory name, and then append this extension.files to just make it different from the EDL file name itself. And yeah, that's that. Now next, hidden is gonna be the same thing but with a dot. and the last two will again be almost the same as the two before them, but this one will be set to any value, but I use 1 as a convention. Basically, it's like the intention is for it to be like true false boolean type of thing. Yes. I could format it a bit more, sort of like that. Or no, forget that. I'll just leave it alone. Yeah. Okay, so this is gonna be our kind of main approach here. Like this main.edl, I'm gonna have a variable here later, but yeah, I'm gonna worry about it when I'll get to implementing these options. Right now it's just gonna say main. And I'll keep these two here for now, at least, so that it's just a little bit more readable. So that like these variables don't come out of the blue. Like if you first see this case statement, it's like, well, what are these? And like when you see these just before the case statement, it's immediately clear that it's like, okay, these are new variables that we are working with. Or at least if they're not new, then they are being set to this empty string value. So things are way clearer this way. Okay, so we have the EDL subdir variables, the EDL subdir and the EDL chapters in subdir variables set according to the value passed to the EDL structure option. Now, next, okay, so now we'll have to figure out how to make all that into like, yeah, how to make it so that like the files go to the right place, and also this will affect, like when we put those files in a subdirectory, that will affect the EDL itself, like the EDL lines, because the path oh yeah, that's actually easy. It's the only thing that's gonna change is this path over here, so that's okay. So okay, let me just kind of start over here. So this main.edl will stay in where it is right now. Cache dir. Okay, so our subdirectory will go in here. I will use that parameter expansion thing, I think. And so basically say if EDL subdir is set to anything, then I want something here, and what I want here is the value of the EDL subdir itself and followed by a // yes. I was looking at, did I mess up the quoting or something? It just like doesn't really look right. Or is it the Vim that isn't getting it? Sometimes Vim is not able to deal with like very complex nested quoting sequences. I'm pretty sure that should be valid code. Like, let me test that out. I mean, there's no error, and just make a subshell so that I don't create like any weird variables there. But cache dir equals 1, EDL subdir equals 2. Oh yeah, like this slash should go before this entire thing over here. And so if EDL subdir is not set to anything, then it is skipped. So yes. Okay, so I'll just take this out of here. Yeah, I mean Vim is just like not very, or like Vim's system syntax highlighting sometimes is just producing weird results. I guess I won't quote it then. So put it like that. I mean, yeah, that's okay, but it'd be nice if it could handle it. Okay, so cache dir. So the difference is gonna be that it's just like a different EDL .edl name. Come on. Okay, video subtitles, and now finally the chapters. So that is gonna be a little bit different. First of all, the file name, chapters.metadata, or ff metadata rather. So in this case we have like an additional variable there that controls whether or not to put EDL chapters into that subdir, and it's this variable EDL chapters in subdir. Where was it? Yes, here. So, but that's also very easy to implement with the exact same parameter expansion. I'll just wrap it again into EDL chapters in subdir, just to tell it like, hey, if we need to worry about that, then do that. I mean, this is kind of like we don't have any case where EDL subdir is not set, but chapters in subdir is set. So I guess I could remove that, like, and have only one thing there. But I mean, it kind of am I gonna do that? Because yeah, like what if I change something? It kind of shows the logic that's going on here as well. I would also kind of swap these, I think, like this. I mean, not necessary in this particular scenario, but EDL chapters in subdir, EDL subdir. I don't know, let me leave it for now. I'll think about that as I go along. So, I guess let's test it out. Let's see. So here we have our thing. Let me also set up a little watch here. So there's some files in that cache directory. So this is basically just like monitoring the cache directory constantly. I could actually say like no video so that the video doesn't pop up every time. Or maybe I could even like there was some way to just like make the MPV quit immediately. Something about frames, let me check that. Sometimes it's like helpful for these testing situations. I don't really need to play that video every time. Frame MPV quit immediately. There was some options that dealt with frames, and if you set it like to 0 frames, it even said it in the manual that yeah, here frame 0 loads the file but immediately quits before initializing playback. Might be useful for scripts which just want to determine some file properties. But in our case, we'll just be using it for sort of like testing purposes. Yeah, the only thing is that it's an MPV option, so I need to pass it in here, of course. I'll just attach it to the end there. Frames equals 0. So, okay, so now it ran and it quit immediately. And we see that our files got deleted, the cache. So now if we see -u, let's just go so like pk for keep. Let's try flat. So flat structure. Actually, I need to do LSA there so that we see. Let me actually do tree, not ls. Like this is more clear. I can also do like this is not super necessary, but it's nice. Like this. So So that's flat. Now, what was the other thing? Subdir. Well, it doesn't look like it did what it wanted it to do. That sucks, I guess. Or maybe it did. Wait a second. I forgot to say tree all, but oh, no such file or directory. Of course, I haven't created that directory. Yeah, that needs to be created, of course. So let's add that. So we'll just say that if EDL subdir is set, then make directory yeah, EDL subdir, and I'll that's not all, so EDL subdir is set, and oh, it's gonna have to be like this whole thing with cache, but I'll be editing that later when I implement the save option, but for now that's okay. So I don't need this here because we already checked for whether or not EDL subdir is set. So this will be really like the save directory, or like it's either like user defined save directory or the cache directory, so this variable will change. Yeah, and we'll also need to see, so if EDL subdir is set and if there is no directory, yeah, call this, then create it. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have the result, except because we were messing around there, some files didn't get deleted, and also our cache clearing thing isn't gonna be working anymore because it's all now in like the files are gonna be different depending on the option, the -u option, the EDL structure option. So I might need to revise that. I guess let me just like, for now, let me make a copy and comment that out, but for now I will just say, just like remove everything from cache dir. And not just that, since there can be also like a hidden folder there, shopt, or have I already enabled .glob? Let me see. No, I haven't. Yeah, like shell option .glob, that allows the start to also match files starting with a dot, like the hidden files and folders. So yes, recursive, because there might be a directory there. Like, yeah, I'll cache dir I mean, we don't have any other cache, but this kind of situation that like makes me think like I should have a subdirectory in that cache directory. Well, maybe there's no need. I don't know. Let me leave it alone for now. So let's remove the K. Okay, now it erased everything. Yeah, I just want to make it a little bit smaller so that we only have the output that interests us. So yeah. Okay, so we have the flat structure. Now we have the subdir. Well, first I should clear that. Okay, u subdir. But it couldn't open video.edl. Oh yeah, I forgot to change that. But let's worry about the file structure for now. So like the file structure is what we wanted, except the chapters didn't go in there, but they should have. Why didn't they go in there? Oh, I got things mixed up, I think, here. Because except chapters, it means that like it's the other way around. That, like that. Okay, let's clear the thing again. Yeah, okay, now chapters got saved into the subdirectory. Clear that. Let's try subdir hidden. That worked as well. Now subdir. What was it? Except chapters. Okay, now chapters are outside of that. Clear. And subdir hidden except chapters. Yeah. Okay, this looks good. Let me just wanted to check if I saw what I thought I saw. Yeah. Okay, this is good. Now what's that thing that we... Yeah, like I forgot to change the stuff and over here. Basically it's just this same value as here. So that should take care of it. Except I made some error. What did I do? don't know. Oh, okay, I know. I just deleted this part accidentally. Chapters. Oh yeah, okay. The MPV command. Chapters file. So yeah, this is also should be set to this value. I mean, I guess I could create variables for those. Since they repeat a couple of times. Yeah, let me do that. EDL. Subtitles. And chapters. Okay, so we created variables for those files. Now EDL chapters FF metadata can just go here too. Hopefully I got it right. Let's check. That ran without any errors. Yeah, let me get rid of that frames thing. Okay, that plays. Let me pull up that watch command again. So yeah, there's gonna be like some mess in that watch or in that like cache folder if you sort of like keep files but with one layout but then try to overwrite. I guess I could like clear cache before writing anything, like always. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I should do that, I think. Let's see. Because like it will only overwrite like will overwrite some files, but not all of them. It doesn't like serve any purpose to keep them there. So yeah, I guess like clear cache here. There's also gonna be like little put my like little note to self here to say that add condition if not save, like, because if you're using the save option, then it's not going to be written in the cache. I mean, unless you save it somewhere for some reason into the cache, but it's like there's no reason to do that. So that like if you're saving it somewhere externally, the temporary files are not erased, they're just not touched at all. So this way, like, I can just keep some stuff, and then I can not keep some stuff, but do like subdir, for example, and it still like clears everything properly.
Att man som historielärare måste vara duktig. Alltså om man ska kolla upp en historia. Att man som historielärare.
So there's only correct files in there. Yeah. Should I have a subdirectory for that stuff or not? It's like, there's no, I don't have any plans to have any other information in there. But then, like, what if, like, new ideas emerge and there is a need, and like, even if not, then it's kind of like this structure that has its own thing, and it's separate from just like the general idea of cache. So since we have some variety in it, there just might seem appropriate to have a subdirectory for that stuff in there. Yeah. I'll think about that. For now, let's just test things out. Subdir hidden. That works. Subdir hidden. Let's go not hidden, but except chapters. Yeah, this works as well. And let's do hidden except chapters. Okay, this is good. I like that. Now I think, yeah, I mean, I do want to have like a subdirectory there. I'll just call it EDL. Yeah. So let me do that. So cachedir slash EDL. Although, man, now like it's not just that the cache directory doesn't exist, but maybe the well, let me set that aside for a second. There's some like extra decisions that are emerged there that need to be made. Also, like another reason to have a subdirectory is that like I'll be deleting the entire contents of cache here, and like if I like whatever, like have some other option and forget like to remove this, like this might have like unintended consequences, so it's best to have it like in its own folder. Yeah. So okay, am I gonna be doing anything else? Like I think in this session this is gonna be our kind of goal to finish this implementing this option, and I'll leave it at that. But let me just kind of figure out what to do with this cache little cache issue. Okay, so like if option EDL plays set and the directory cache dir it does not exist, then make directory, make the cache directory. Well, I suppose this actually probably should be quoted, but especially yeah, I guess I'll just have another variable for this specific kind of cache. Cache dir cache dir cache EDL dir equals cache dir EDL. And I'll only worry about this, and I'll just like have the root cache directory reserved for some like I'll worry about that if I decide to implement some new features that require that or something. Oops, I have a typo there. So yeah, this works. Doesn't add anything super complicated either. Just a different variable name. Cache EDL dir. So let me just search for cache EDL. See where else we have it. Or not cache EDL, but cache dir rather. Okay, so like this is the first occurrence, line 385. So I'll replace all of the instances of cache dir with cache EDL dir from this point up until the end of the script. 13 substitutions. And let me see, let me just like give it another look to make sure that the logic is sound. Where's the thing? Yeah. It creates the cache EDL dir. I can also have a function here that I can call clear cache EDL, and this is gonna be just like a simple one-liner. It goes like this. Like normally in a one-liner function you'd need a semicolon, but I believe if you have a subshell like that, you don't need it, I think. So this way we have a dedicated directory for this thing, and it can be cleared separately from everything else. I don't need that anymore. Yeah. Okay, hopefully everything works as expected.
Att man som historielärare måste...
Okay, so like one thing though, I need to do rm dot cache search and subs. So I'll just clear that whole search and subs cache directory first, and of course I forgot the hidden folder there, or rather I forgot that .glob is not enabled, and so it's not gonna get caught by the star glob, but it's fine. I'll just leave it like that, and so let's test
Att man som
that.
historielärare måste vara duktig.
So now we have it like that. This is the flat structure. Now the
Att man som
subdirectory.
historielärare måste vara...
The subdirectory hidden.
Att man som historielärare måste vara duktig.
Subdirectory except chapters.
Att man som historielärare...
Subdirectory hidden except chapters.
Att man som historielärare måste vara duktig.
Okay, so there we go. We're done implementing this feature. Yeah, like I think it's worthwhile implementing options like this, because just to give, like, if you can think of situations where you might want all this variety, it's best to just like have it ready in advance, and it makes the script more versatile. So that's why I like implementing things like this. So I'm pretty sure that, so now that we're done with this, in the next video we can start implementing these save features, yeah, we also have some other things, but I think I just want to like finish implementing these options that were just like that kept being bumped to be like dealt with in the future. So that's probably what I'm gonna do in the next session. But as for this video, thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting and valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.